Stop whatever you're doing, because the story of Charon, Pluto's largest moon, is not what you were taught in school. Charon isn't just a moon. It's a cosmic mistake, a contradiction, a world that behaves like a planet, cheats gravity, and breaks every formation rule we thought applied to the outer solar system. From nearly 4 billion miles away, this frozen giant refuses to orbit Pluto the way a moon should. Instead, Pluto and Charon orbit each other, locked in a gravitational dance so perfect, so symmetrical, that astronomers had to admit the unthinkable. This isn't a planet and its moon. It's a double-planet system hiding in the darkness of the Kuiper Belt. But that's only the beginning, because when NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew past Pluto in 2015, it captured images of Charon that shattered decades of assumptions. A blood-red polar cap, a canyon system larger than anything on Earth or Mars, cracks that stretch across half the moon, and surface scars that hint Charon may have once had oceans, eruptions, and perhaps even the right conditions for life. Charon is not a passive moon. It is an active mystery, one we never expected to find. And in the next moments, you're going to see the most mind-bending, rule-breaking, theory-shattering discoveries about this world that science still cannot fully explain. Charon didn't reveal itself easily. For decades, Pluto was nothing more than a faint, flickering dot in the night sky. Too small, too distant, too dim for even the best telescopes of the 20th century to resolve clearly. But in 1978, something changed. At the U.S. Naval Observatory, astronomer James Christie noticed a strange bulge on Pluto's blurred photographic plates. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a camera smear. It was something orbiting Pluto, tugging at it, shifting its position ever so slightly. That bulge would later be confirmed as Charon, the world that had been hiding in plain sight. What shocked astronomers wasn't just the discovery, it was the relationship between the two worlds. Charon wasn't a tiny speck circling Pluto like our moon circles Earth. It was massive, so massive, in fact, that it caused Pluto itself to wobble dramatically around a shared center of gravity located outside Pluto's surface. This meant one thing: the Pluto-Charon system wasn't a planet and a moon at all. It was a binary world, a double-planet system unlike anything else in the solar system. But even after the discovery, Charon remained a blurry mystery for nearly 40 years. No telescope on Earth, not even Hubble, could truly show its surface. Scientists only saw shifting patterns of brightness, vague hints of light and shadow, and colors they couldn't decode. Until New Horizons arrived, Charon was nothing more than a shape in the dark, a name without a face. Yet even from the limited data before 2015, one thing was clear: Charon was different. Too large for its host, too heavy, too oddly synchronized, too perfectly balanced with Pluto. A moon that didn't act like a moon, and a partner too significant to ignore. This wasn't just another satellite orbiting a dwarf planet. This was a world with a story waiting to explode open. Charon's existence poses a problem so big that it forced scientists to rethink how moons are born. The leading theory says Charon emerged from a catastrophic impact billions of years ago, one so violent it would have torn Pluto apart. According to this model, a Mars-sized object slammed into early Pluto, ejecting debris that slowly merged into Charon. It's the same theory used to explain how Earth got its moon. Simple, right? Not quite. Pluto is tiny, barely 2/3 the width of our moon. An impact large enough to create Charon should have shattered Pluto into dust, not sculpted a perfect binary system. The collision scenario explains the size ratio, but not the strange stability, not the shared tidal lock, not the perfect alignment. And yet the evidence seems to agree with an impact. Charon's surface is covered in water ice, cleaner, purer, and brighter than the patchy, violent surface of Pluto. Their compositions are different in ways that scream separate origin. But here's the twist. Charon carries almost no trace of the exotic nitrogen and methane ices that blanket Pluto. If they formed together from a single debris field, they should share more similarities. Instead, Charon looks like a captured world, or a reconstructed one, almost like it was rebuilt from fragments of something older, something colder, something ancient. But the biggest clue lies in their dance. Pluto and Charon don't orbit like a moon and a planet. They rotate in perfect synchrony, always showing each other the same face, locked in a gravitational embrace so precise it seems engineered. The barycenter, the point where their gravity balances, floats outside of Pluto entirely. No other planet-moon pair in the solar system does this. Not Earth and the Moon, not Jupiter and its giants. This is a binary world in every sense. The question scientists still struggle to answer is simple but unsettling. How did such a fragile system survive for 4.5 billion years without tearing itself apart? The collision model explains parts of the story, but not all of it. Something about Charon's birth doesn't fit the rules. Its size, its composition, its orbit, its flawless tide locking, all of it hints at a past far more complex than a single cosmic impact. Charon shouldn't exist the way it does. And yet here it is, locked forever with Pluto in a gravitational duet that the universe can barely explain. When New Horizons finally swept past Pluto in July 2015, astronomers expected Charon to be a lifeless, frozen rock, plain, quiet, and uneventful. But the moment the raw images came in, every assumption shattered instantly. Charon wasn't dead. It wasn't simple. It was scarred, fractured, colored, and unexpectedly alive with geological history. Its entire surface looked like it had been cracked open, stretched apart, and reshaped by forces no one predicted. The first shock came from a canyon system so massive it dwarfs anything on Mars or Earth, running across the Moon for more than 1,600 kilometers, nearly half of its entire circumference. This colossal chasm is deeper than the Grand Canyon and wider than the continental United States. It looks like Charon once tried to tear itself apart from the inside. The fractures aren't random, they form a global pattern, hinting at a long-lost subsurface ocean that froze, expanded, and ripped the Moon open like an overpressurized sphere of ice. Then came the discovery that left everyone speechless. Mordor Macula, the blood-red pole of Charon. A stain of deep crimson that shouldn't exist on a frigid world made of ice. Scientists believe methane from Pluto drifts across space, freezes onto Charon's pole, and is transformed by ultraviolet light into complex red tholins. But here's the mystery. Why only the North Pole? Why so thick, so localized, so intense? It doesn't match the slow, even processes we're used to. It looks painted on, like a cosmic bruise. Charon also has smooth plains areas seemingly resurfaced by frozen flows of ammonia-rich ice, hinting at ancient cryovolcanism. That means at some point in its past, Charon may have had enough internal heat to erupt liquid ice. Entire regions look younger than the rest of the Moon, suggesting geological activity long after Charon should have gone cold. Everywhere New Horizons looked, the same message appeared. Charon is not a passive moon. It is a world shaped by fire, ice, chemistry, and maybe even a hidden ocean that once existed beneath its crust. Nothing about its surface matches the expectations of a small, distant moon orbiting a dwarf planet. Instead, Charon behaves like a planet that once had energy, movement, and internal complexity. A world that still guards secrets New Horizons could only glimpse in its brief flyby. When New Horizons sent back the first color images of Charon, scientists braced for an ordinary gray, icy moon. Instead, they were confronted with something completely unexpected, a massive blood-red stain smeared across Charon's North Pole. It was so large, so bold, so violently out of place that researchers jokingly nicknamed it Mordor Macula. But the truth behind this crimson world wound is stranger than any Tolkien reference. At first glance, it looks like a chemical burn, a cosmic bruise. something that shouldn't naturally form on a frozen body with no atmosphere, no volcanism, and no light except the faint glow of the distant Sunday. The immediate question wasn't, what is it, but how is this even possible? The current leading theory is as fascinating as it is eerie. Pluto is literally painting Charon. Pluto's thin atmosphere contains methane gas. As Pluto rotates, this gas slowly escapes into space, drifting outward like a leaking aura. Charon, locked in tidal dance with Pluto, sweeps through this invisible cloud. Methane settles on Charon's pole, its coldest region, where temperatures drop so low that the gas freezes solid on contact. But that's only the beginning. When solar radiation finally reaches Charon's pole, it breaks apart the frozen methane molecules. The chemical fragments recombine into complex carbon chains called tholins, the same strange red substances seen on Pluto, Titan, and possibly comets. Over millions of years, these reactions create a thick, deep red coating, a stain of chemistry, frozen time, and relentless ultraviolet sculpting. But here's the mystery. Why is the red so intense? Why so localized? Why only one pole? If the process were simple, both poles should look similar. They don't. The South Pole is pale, untouched, almost pristine. Something about Charon's axial tilt, seasons, thermal behavior, or chemical makeup is amplifying the effect in a way scientists still don't fully understand. Even stranger, Mordor Macula is not uniform. Beneath its dark red exterior lie layers of different colors and textures like geological sediment made from chemistry rather than rock. It suggests cycles of deposition and transformation, as if Charon is inhaling Pluto's atmosphere and exhaling something entirely new. This one feature flips the narrative. Charon is not just influenced by Pluto, it is chemically sculpted by it. Two worlds exchanging material, reshaping each other in slow cosmic interaction. No other moon in the solar system shows anything like this. It is a signature phenomenon, unique, unexplained, and still evolving today. When New Horizons swept past Charon in 2015, its cameras captured something that stunned every planetary scientist on Earth. A scar so vast it nearly encircles the moon. A colossal system of canyons, cliffs, and fractures, some plunging deeper than the Grand Canyon, others stretching farther than the entire continental United States. It looked less like a moon and more like a world that had tried to tear itself open. This feature, now called Serenity Chasma, is not a simple crack. It is a continent-sized wound carved into ice. At its deepest points, the cliffs rise as tall as 9 kilometers, higher than any mountain on Earth. The canyon system spans 1,800 kilometers, almost half of Charon's entire circumference. Nothing about it is small. Nothing about it is subtle. It's as if the moon once endured a catastrophic event powerful enough to stretch its entire crust apart. So what could possibly do that? The leading theory is extraordinary. Charon expanded from the inside out. In its early life, Charon likely harbored a global subsurface ocean, a vast reservoir of water locked beneath its frozen crust. As the moon cooled over billions of years, this internal ocean froze, and when water turns to ice, it expands. Slowly, relentlessly, it pushed against Charon's outer shell, cracking it open like a frozen world bursting at the seams. The result? A global fracture line, evidence of a world that literally grew too large for its own skin. But here's where the mystery deepens. If Charon's ocean froze, what heated it in the first place? Charon is far from the Sunday. It has no volcanoes, no tidal flexing like Europa or Enceladus. Something else, something unexpected, kept it warm long enough for liquid water to exist beneath its crust. Some researchers propose radioactive decay in the core. Others suggest leftover heat from its violent birth. But no single explanation fully accounts for the scale of the expansion or the power required to rupture a world this size. And this canyon tells another story too, one of astonishing stability. Despite nearly splitting apart, Charon survived. The moon didn't crumble, it didn't fracture into debris, it held together solid, calm, and ancient, like a scarred survivor carrying the memory of its own near destruction. This is not just geology, it's the diary of a world that almost didn't make it. Charon may look dead today, frozen solid at the edge of the solar system, but its past tells a very different story. Beneath its dark crust of nitrogen, methane, and water ice, scientists believe Charon once hid something astonishing, a vast, global subsurface ocean warm enough to stay liquid for hundreds of millions of years. That's right, Pluto's moon may once have been a world of flowing water. The evidence is carved into its skin. The enormous fracture system New Horizons photographed the same system wide enough to dwarf Earth's Grand Canyon doesn't just hint at internal activity, it practically screams it. Worlds do not crack open on a planetary scale unless they contain something dynamic beneath the surface. For Charon, that something appears to have been water expanding during the freezing process, lifting and stretching the crust until it ruptured. But here's the strange part. Charon shouldn't have had enough energy to keep a global ocean warm. It's too small, too far from the sun, too isolated. Unlike Europa or Enceladus, it isn't being flexed by a massive parent planet. So the question becomes, what warmed Charon from the inside out? One idea is radiogenic heating, the slow decay of radioactive elements in its rocky core. Another possibility is that Charon retained heat from the giant impact that created it. Or maybe, during its early orbit around Pluto, tidal forces were much stronger, heating the interior before the system stabilized into its tidally locked state. Each explanation works on paper, but none fully explains the incredible scale of the expansion. Something drove Charon's interior into a warm, possibly oceanic state, and that something is still unknown. And then comes the biggest question of all. Could a moon like Charon, once warm, once wet, once alive inside, have ever supported the chemistry necessary for life? Not life on the surface, of course, but life in the darkness, deep beneath an icy shell. The same kind of life we wonder about on Europa and Enceladus. If Charon once had vents, heat gradients, and liquid water, then the building blocks of biology may have existed there too. We will never know for sure until a new mission returns to the Pluto system. But one thing is certain. Charon was never the static, frozen rock we once imagined. It was active. It was warm. And for a brief moment in cosmic time, it may have been one of the solar system's hidden ocean worlds. At Charon's North Pole lies a mystery that looks almost alive. A deep, rusty red region nicknamed Mordor Macula. It isn't just a splash of color. It's a clue. A cosmic fingerprint that ties Charon and Pluto in ways we never expected. How does a small moon, frozen and airless, acquire such a vivid pigment? And why only at one pole? The answer begins with Pluto. Despite its tiny size and thin atmosphere, Pluto is constantly shedding gas, nitrogen, methane, and other volatile molecules into space. Some of this material escapes Pluto entirely, drifting toward Charon over millions of years. When these molecules reach Charon's cold, frozen surface, they freeze instantly. Over time, ultraviolet light from the sun breaks down these ices, transforming them into complex reddish compounds called tholins. This means Charon isn't just a passive moon, it's a canvas, painted stroke by Pluto's escaping atmosphere. Every red molecule tells a story of interaction between worlds, a reminder that even distant, frozen moons are never truly isolated. But here's the twist. Mordor Macula is unusually concentrated and dramatically darker than the rest of Charon's surface. Scientists expected the tholin layer to be faint, spread thin. Instead, it's dense, almost unnatural in its intensity. Why is it confined to the pole? The likely culprit is Charon's extreme axial tilt and seasons. During Pluto's long year, the North Pole faces deep darkness for decades, allowing gases to accumulate, freeze, and chemically transform without interference from sunlight. Still, questions remain. Could the red cap hide hints of organic chemistry beyond simple tholins? Could it reveal a history of migration, of particles caught in magnetic or gravitational patterns we barely understand? Every new image from New Horizons, every spectral measurement adds layers to the mystery, but nothing resolves it completely. Charon is more than a moon. It's a record of interaction, a testament to how even the coldest, most remote bodies in the solar system are shaped by their neighbors. Its red cap is not decoration, it is evidence of a living, dynamic relationship, a reminder that in the far reaches of the Kuiper Belt, even a frozen moon can tell a story. Charon didn't form quietly. It was born from violence, a cosmic smash-up that rewrote the rules of moon formation. Unlike Earth's moon, which quietly orbited after a giant impact, Charon's size and mass make it almost a twin of Pluto. This is why astronomers call it a double dwarf planet system. Their mutual gravitational dance is unique in the solar system. Evidence of this chaotic past is written all over Charon's surface. Deep canyons, cliffs, and chasms stretch for hundreds of kilometers. The most striking, Vulcan Planum, appears as a smooth, resurfaced plain, but it's bordered by fractured terrain that hints at violent tectonic activity. Ice here isn't soft and forgiving. It cracks, slides, and moves like rock. The moon has literally split and healed itself over eons, leaving scars that tell stories of stress, expansion, and contraction. The giant canyon systems suggest that Charon expanded as its interior froze. Water, trapped under the icy crust, turned into solid ice, forcing the surface to stretch and crack. Some of these fractures are wide enough to swallow mountains, deep enough to rival Earth's Grand Canyon, and they run thousands of kilometers across. This is no sleepy moon, it is a frozen world of motion and upheaval, shaped by forces that are still active today. Charon's very existence challenges formation theories. How could a small dwarf planet like Pluto produce a moon so massive, so gravitationally balanced, without tearing itself apart? Models suggest an enormous collision early in the solar system's history, a glancing blow from a Kuiper Belt object, one that ejected material that later coalesced into Charon. But the timing, angle, and energy required make this scenario extraordinarily precise, almost miraculous. And yet, the scars, the canyons, the tectonic patterns, they all line up. Charon is a survivor of chaos, a relic of the early solar system frozen in time, yet constantly whispering the story of its violent birth. Every fracture is a question, every canyon a puzzle, every smooth plain a chapter in a history that refuses to be ordinary. Charon isn't just a moon, it's a cosmic rebel, a frozen witness to the violence and mystery of the early solar system. Its canyons, cliffs, and fractured plains whisper secrets that scientists are only beginning to decode. Every rotation, every orbit around Pluto is a dance that defies expectation, a gravitational ballet no other moon performs. We thought we understood moons. We thought we understood dwarf planets. Charon proves us wrong at every turn. Its existence challenges what we know about formation, motion, and survival in the cold frontier of space. As we continue to explore, we are reminded that the solar system is stranger, wilder, and more beautiful than we can imagine. And Charon, it is the crown jewel of that frontier, a silent sentinel holding the stories of billions of years. Here at Space Frontier Ventures, we chase these cosmic mysteries, peel back the layers of the universe, and bring the unimaginable into view. Charon is not the end, it's only the beginning. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring the edges of space with us.